It's been a while since I've done a review, but I also couldn't figure out a way to talk about this game online, so a review you shall receive. So why on earth do I want to review a 27-year-old game made for 4-year-olds while living in a country with an under 16 social media ban, so my review can't even reach the target demographic? Because licensed games that actually care about the source material are so special to me, and I feel in an age of just make a monetized mobile game, we do sometimes need to look back at what we had and how far we have fallen as a society. This by any means isn't even a good game. It controls as smoothly as your dad's cover band, looks like a fart, and the audio is mixed worse than some of my first GarageBand demos. But these games aren't about quality. Why on earth do I want a good product when I can have one full of today's magic word? Charm. Rugrats Search for Reptar is a PlayStation 1 exclusive and one of the many games that the Rugrats put out on this system. And none of them are very good. But just because I say these games aren't good, doesn't mean they aren't good. Remember, charm. So what's the story here? Where's Reptar? I don't know. If I did, this game wouldn't need to exist. Our beloved protagonist Tommy Pickles has lost the pieces to his Reptar puzzle. And in order to find them, the Rugrats must participate in platform levels or minigames. These are based off the show apparently, but like with most things in my life, I barely watched any of it. Yes, I remember certain things, but this is one of those franchises where I played the games more than I actually watched the show. After this cutscene finishes and Stu walks away in need of someone to help him undislocate his jaw, we are thrown into the hub world of the game, the Pickles house. And this is so cool. You can go anywhere in the house. The basement, the kitchen, the backyard, your parents' bedroom, just don't look in the top drawer, Tommy. So what are we looking for exactly? Well, we're looking for objects around the house that when you walk up to them, a little prompt will pop up featuring the name of a level and the difficulty. And don't let the difficulty system fool you, these are all easy. This game is made for people who still doo-doo in their pants. Did I mention I love this game? Interacting with the object is going to transport you to a level, and there are so many great ones in this game. I also adore how the loading screen is the episode intro from the show. It even comes with a little sound effect as well, that cute little ba-ba jingle. However, you're going to sit in silence for a few seconds because the jingle lasts shorter than the loading screen, and you'll think to yourself, maybe she was right to take the kids. So let's go over the actual levels in the game, as there's a lot of good stuff on offer. I'll start with the easy ones first, so we can ease our way in before we get to the dark souls of Rugrats. Starting off with Chucky's glasses. We take control of Chucky in this one, and it's just a game of hide and seek in the Pickles home because of the rainy weather. Angelica has taken Chucky's glasses though, so he can't see properly. However, this isn't going to affect gameplay in the slightest, as nothing happens to the camera. I'd suggest if you're a glasses wearer, maybe take them off for a more realistic experience, and if your eyesight is perfectly fine, go outside and stare at the sun for a couple of minutes before tackling this one if you want that more simulation-based gameplay. The only other thing that offers a little bit of challenge to this is once you find someone, you do have to race them back to the playpen in the living room for it to count. Egg Hunt. Playing as Tommy, this is a timed mission where you'll be looking for eggs in the Pickles home. Also, why are we looking for eggs? There isn't any mention of it being Easter here, this is just a random egg hunt. Also, if you're really stuck on this one, the Rugrats wiki states that the golden egg can always be found in the room across from the bathroom next to the couch. Thank me later for that. But in the time it takes you to Google that, you could also pick up the phone, call your grandma and tell you love her, but let's be honest, you're not taking the time to do that, are you? Ice Cream Mountain. Easily my favourite part of this game growing up was Ice Cream Mountain, and it's just a mini golf game. Stu agrees to take the kids to mini golf where they have a chance to win a diabetic amount of ice cream. This is a real bare bones basic mini golf game, but let's go back to the magic word for a second. Charm. The design is great, I love how vibrant it is, and it's nice to be in an area outside of the Pickles house. The only downside to this one is the announcer, constantly talking smack to me while I'm trying to channel my inner Tiger Woods. And someone let my wife know I meant just his golf ability. Also, in Hole 8, there is a pyramid which you can go into and collect a ton of Reptar bars, which I realised I haven't touched on yet. But before I do, I just want to point out that walking into this pyramid turns the game from Tiger Woods PGA Tour into Resident Evil. as this mummified Mr. Friend will come for you. And what does he do when he reaches you? He just kind of slightly gets in the way, which just means he's no scarier than a typical old woman at the grocery store leaning over her trolley while her rear end lags a meter behind. Alright, that's enough old lady bum. What are the Reptar bars? The other collectible in this game, which can be found in the Pickles house and in the levels, getting 15 of these will give you a puzzle piece, and there is no shortage of these, meaning you can skip out on certain minigames and levels in case they are a bit too hard for you. Which for a kids game I think is a genius mechanic. I just don't understand how 15 bars gives you a puzzle piece. Like, are we melting down the chocolate and putting it in a puzzle piece shaped mold and then painting over it? Are we cutting the wrapper and crafting a new puzzle piece that way? Or am I overanalyzing a game that is the same age as me but doesn't have chronic groin pain after a light jog? The Cookie Race. A short level here, but Tommy and Angelica are upstairs and out of cookies. However, a fresh batch has just been made and is in the kitchen, so the race is on. You need to get downstairs first to eat all of the cookies. Now this one is really easy, especially if you let Tommy channel his inner Jeff Hardy and jump down the stairs. Cookies acquired and ankle surgery required. The Mysterious Mr. Friend. Now this is a pain in the ass. Yes, it's an easy minigame because the objective is straightforward and these killer robots are useless. But do you know what else is useless? Tommy's ability to throw. And I know I shouldn't be too harsh here because he's won, but I imagine that the MLB and the NBA would be scouting as young as this, and I'm not liking Tommy's chances. You will wrestle with lining up a clean throw on these Mr. Friend robots more than they will actually hit you. And while it's like only a 5-minute job, I still don't enjoy it at all. If I wanted a terrible experience throwing something, I'd go and play Rugby League 26. Just kidding, I actually don't mind that game. We have unlocked our blue button as we move on to the medium difficulty section of the game. That was a Guitar Hero joke, by the way. Circus Angelicus. So this is a 3-parter, with the first 2 parts being fine and the third one making me want my organs to fail. The first part, we play as Spike, and our canine American friend did not do so well here getting turned into a 3D model, but remember, charm. Spike just does a jumping obstacle course collecting bones, and believe it or not, we are gonna play as Spike a few more times in the game. He gets more love than Susie does here. Part 2, we're the twins, and we have to race on a twike. We have to race on a trike. You build up some speed around this course, and then you've got to make a jump at the end of it. Pretty simple stuff. But it's part 3 where this one starts to suck real bad. You play as Angelica and have to launch Chucky onto a target. However, I swear there isn't actually a perfect amount of power or the perfect angle, it's just random. And the worst part is, if you fail this 3 times, you have to restart from the Spike section again. This level is the perfect example of why collecting Reptar bars for puzzle pieces is a good mechanic. Grandpa's Teeth. You know how when you're a dumb, stupid kid and you get terrified by dumb, stupid things? This minigame was one of those things. So I didn't play it as a kid. Thank you very much, Reptar bars, once again. But I'm an adult now, and I'm going to take this goose head on. And what goose, you ask? I'll get there. Grandpa takes his fake teeth out, which always icks me so hard. Still to this day, can't do fake teeth. Spike runs off with them, and he enters this maze. So we've got to go and find Spike and get the teeth back. Once that is done, the second part of the level starts, and it's a chase sequence. After finding Spike and the teeth, they are stolen again, but this time by the horrifying goose. And yes, this is the thing that I was scared of as a kid. It doesn't just steal the teeth though, it also steals Chucky. So as Tommy, we ride on Spike, chasing down the goose to get the teeth and Chucky back. The chase takes us to a shuffleboard, and we enter phase 3 of this bad boy. Chucky is being chased around by the goose, and we have to throw hockey pucks and land 5 hits on the goose. However, we can also hit Chucky, and doing this too many times will result in a loss. I really like this level now that I don't have gooseobia, and I'd really commend it for its variety, with each new section providing something new. Let There Be Light. This was another one that I was scared of as a kid, which makes me wonder why I even look back on this game so fondly. Anyway, I was terribly scared of the dark as a kid, so this minigame felt like my own episode of Fear Factor. The house is pitch black, and Tommy has the genius idea to open the fridge and let the light out, so he takes a torch and we begin the level. However, on our way to the fridge, we are attacked by ghosts, and these were the things that scared me as a kid as well. Now they just look like a floating milk spill. Once we get to the fridge, we're gonna need the help of Spike to get the fridge open. So on to part 2, which is finding Spike. And he spawns in a random location every time you play this minigame, which I feel has to be a logistical nightmare for the speedrunning community of Rugrats Search for Reptar. You find Spike, you take him back to the fridge, he opens the fridge, and the level is 1. I don't know if it's worth noting here, but your torch is also your weapon. You can shine it at the ghost as if it's a gun, and it can also run out of battery, leaving you absolutely defenseless in this Silent Hill clone. Visitors from outer space. This starts with one of my favourite cutscenes in the whole game. Good old senile Grandpa Pickles being fear-mongered about aliens. Fantastic. Tommy and the gang have ended up being abducted by aliens, and in a surprising turn of events, it's Angelica that has to make the save. But now she needs to escape the mothership. So we are playing a third-person shooter. This game does everything, doesn't it? Once you find this pink room full of prisoners, you talk to this fish, and this fish looks like its mother is the Lorax, and the fish has also been making out with the green M&M. He'll switch off the gravity for us, and this is going to start part 2 of this level. We have to fly through the vents, and this is honestly the most frustrating part of this entire game to control. I hated it, and also, I might be an idiot, I don't know, this is probably a skill issue thing, but I got lost when I was trying to do this, and I watched a guide, because I didn't care to want the gratification that I did this on my own. Who am I going to brag to this about? Anyway, we come out of the vent, we see that the babies have already made it to an escape pod and take off without her, which I fully understand because Angelica is a little Alright, moving on to the big leagues, we have arrived at the hard challenges. And this is going to test your physical and mental strength as we edge closer and closer to finishing our Reptar puzzle. 7 Voyages of Cynthia. Another Spike level here, and after playing this, it makes me appreciate Dog's Life janky controls more, because Spike is about as fluid as a high-fiber turd. The boys have lost Angelica's beloved Cynthia, so the baby's best friend Spike decides he's going to go home and invade the Ninja Turtles in order to find her. This level is a pretty standard platforming maze-like situation, and honestly, it's pretty good. You could even say it has an element of charm. Spike can take damage in the sewers by coming into contact with a rat, or falling into the poo water. Good to know that if the neighbour's dog is barking just a little too loud at night, you can fling a poo over the fence, and providing you nail your target, you will get a good night's rest. After you've made it out of the other side of the sewer, you'll enter a more open area where you'll now have a timer, and you must find Cynthia to finish the level. I don't know if this is another situation of it being random because the wiki didn't state that. I use the wiki a lot here, but if she appears in a random location every time, the speedrunning community of Search for Reptar has just been dealt another blow. Incident on aisle 7, and I am not talking about the last time that I was in Barbecues Galore. Grandpa Pickles is out of fudgy dingaling bars. Wait a second, are we sure this isn't the Barbecue Galore's incident? Tommy is brought along to the shops, but is only interested in the new Reptar cereal. This is another 2-parter. Both parts are like platforming sections with a boss battle at the end of them. Part 1 sees you platforming across the produce section in order to get to boss 1. It's a shooter gallery type game where you throw pies at the 2 shop attendants, Larry and Steve. God, they look like babbling buffoons. Anyway, part 2 now. We are now in the main section of the shop, and everything here is trying to kill Tommy. From spills to flying popcorn to live lobsters, it's grubbier here than most IGAs. And speaking of lobsters, the boss battle for this section is a giant blue lobster. This is centered around that awful throwing mechanic that I spoke about in the Mr. Friend level, and that's what's going to be challenging about this section, is lining up your throws to deal with the lobsters. But once you hit the big blue one and it's stunned, you can climb up a couple of boxes, hit a switch, get old Bluey out of there, and you have won the level. I really like this level, even with the mid-boss battle to finish it off, but it has that Toy Story 2, Stuart Little 2 feel to it, where you take an everyday location and make it into an epic adventure level, just because the protagonist is small. And that's a PlayStation 1 trope that I absolutely love. Toy Palace. Speaking of turning an everyday location into adventure level, Toy Palace is set in just that, a toy store. This is another two-parter featuring Chucky and Tommy. Stu is taking Tommy and Chucky to the toy shop, and everyone gets separated. And how does this keep happening? How have the Child Protection Services not nabbed the Pickles family for this yet? Part 1 is Chucky's part, and we're just navigating the store to get back to Tommy, as Chucky is just a little anxious guy. Tommy's part is pretty fun though, if you can look past the terrifying gorilla animatronic, which, by the way, this is another thing that I was scared of in this game. This is a really fun platform puzzle section, where we got to search for these Reptar boxes in order to create a way for Tommy to reach a switch. Once that switch has been flicked, we're going to release a big robotic Reptar to take down the gorilla, which I also just learnt his name is Thorg. I don't know what you're going to do with that information, but Thorg the gorilla. There are a number of bonus levels that I haven't touched on yet because they aren't really that interesting, but I'm going to go over them here quickly. No More Cookies. You play as all the Rugrats here, and it's sort of like a piggy in the middle situation in the kitchen of the Pickles home. Angelica wants the cookies, and as a team, the babies must eat them while also throwing the box to one another so Angelica doesn't get any. Once all the cookies are eaten, the minigame is won, and they must have really enjoyed making this one because it's not the only version of it that we get to play. Mirrorland. Now, this used to be another favourite part of the game for me growing up, and to be honest, I still adore it, because dare I say, it has a lot of charm. Tommy is stuck in Mirrorland, which is just the Pickles home, but upside down. You've got to search the house for these boxes that are filled with coloured balloons, and if you find all 6 colours worth of balloons in the time given to you to do the level, you win the level. There is really nothing special here. I just think this is a case of me being a very young kid and being enthralled by pretty colours, kind of like how I was in the Toy Story 2 paint mixing puzzle. Touchdown Tommy. Now, this is just that redo of No More Cookies that I mentioned, except now we're in the lounge room, and for some reason the lounge room's been turned into a football field. The babies are drinking what's meant to be chocolate milk, but I can't help but have flashbacks to the harmful poo water of Seven Voyages of Cynthia. Gold Rush. Another timed collecting level here, but we're playing as Phil this time. We have to collect all 62 coins in the time limit given to us. This is also set in the park, and that's literally the only thing of note here. It's not amazing, it's not bad, it's just okay. Also, I love the trivia section for this level on the Rugrats wiki. I don't know who thought this was a fantastic fact that needed to be stated, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Okay, we have tackled everything this game has to offer, and it is time for the big finale, Reptar 2010. I remember playing this for the first time, and as a finale, it's awesome. You don't even really do anything here. You're just walking around a city as Reptar, messing up the place with biting, stomping, and a fire-breathing attack. There isn't even a goal here besides just getting to the end. There aren't points for destruction or anything that can hurt you. This is just a fun, awesome reward where you freely roam around and destroy things at your own leisure. I adore the map here too. The nighttime PS1 cityscape is going to be something that I always bung on about in these videos, because it's such a product of its time and I love it. This level also features one of the best songs in the game, which reminds me I need to touch on the soundtrack. I will do that in a bit. While going through the city causing mayhem, there is also some sort of commentary going on as well, but nothing really memorable for me here, as I was having too much fun causing acts of destruction. All in all, this is a great ending to the game. This level is set in 2010 though, which is 12 years into the future when the game was released. However, 2010 is 15 years in the past as I'm recording this, and that's made me feel a bit sick to my stomach thinking about just how old this game is. And then I also just realised that I was made in 1998 as well. I'm very old. Alright, what about that soundtrack though? This is one of the most important parts of any game to me, and I'm happy to report that this is so unapologetically Rugrats. And that's because Mark Mothersbaugh, the same man who does the music for the show, he's the one who does the music for the game. Also, while Googling this man, I found out that he was in Devo. So, wow, look at that, 2 for 2 for old Marky Mark. I've never been able to explain what kind of music it is in the Rugrats, because it's so incredibly unique and iconic. And I do love that this game incorporates that as well, because this game does a fantastic job at making you feel like you are actually in the show with all the aesthetics and stuff. So the soundtrack is like cherry on top for completing that. Rugrats Search for Reptar is always a pleasant playthrough for me. It's not perfect by any means, but as I mentioned before, you don't need to play every level to complete the game. So just do what you like and hope there's enough Reptar bars to get to the end. I feel like you could have a few different opinions on this game as well, depending on when you chose to visit it. At first, you probably think, wow, what a fun little Rugrats game for the PlayStation 1. And then a few console generations later, you probably think, wow, this looks horrible and plays terribly, and I can't believe how far we've come in gaming. But now, it makes me feel like we've just fallen so far from what we used to have. I don't talk about modern gaming all that much for a reason, and while I fear I might sound like a raging boomer who misses the quote-unquote good old days, I just love that I can see how much love was put into this Rugrats game as opposed to the soulless games of today. I know I've beaten the word to death, but it's charm, and I think that's what's missing from today's games. So, after I just got all deep and meaningful, I'm going to give Rugrats Search for Reptar a 7 out of 10. It is a mix of nostalgia, charm, and the fact that it isn't actually terrible that makes this one of my favourite PlayStation 1 games ever. Thank you so much for watching this look back on Rugrats Search for Reptar. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more game reviews, plus a bunch of other content that I make. And as always, feel free to leave a comment below regarding any memories that you have from this game. I love hearing about other people's experiences with games from their childhood, especially when it comes to my childhood classics, so leave them below, I would absolutely adore it. As always, I've got all the socials down below for both this channel and my band. Checking anything out would mean the absolute world to me. And just thank you again for your time. Like, time is a very scarce commodity in this day and age, so if you're using your time to watch me ramble about video games, thank you, I appreciate that so much. I've been Satin Black, and I will catch you in the next video.